and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy podcast. We are in the Jesus and Socrates book, Socrates and Jesus. And last episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, we went through and nailed down 4 sets of 3 fundamental principles and conditions for the soul's movement anagogically or upwardly through its stages of development to know reality and to know the self, but also to exist in a state of being of the self where you can function most intelligently and wise in a way that most cares for all beings, all souls, and all non-living beings. But also allowing us to recognize that we have reached that state of being and we've completed our journey. There is an end to the journey, and you can understand that end and recognize it when you've reached it. So, those 12 fundamental principles in our journey towards that end, we have on the table 4 triangles. Let's put names on them so we can remember them and talk about them with our friends over coffee. And if you fancy, your coffee comes in a can. Okie smoky. I won't review them right now because I've just done them. Let's keep reading. Last of all, there is a kind of activity that turns about to focus on the source of all, says Socrates, and to realize through the turning towards a higher mode of being that they have completed their philosophical journey. And Jesus says, well, I can easily identify Zeus, Poseidon, Athena, Ares, Artemis, and Apollo, but for the others I'm not sure. Perhaps with a bit of reflection, I can fill in the list. But you express these in a hierarchical manner. I would like to see that. First of all, what the heck? How come Jesus is so far ahead of us? Now I can guess what Zeus is, because he's the first one, probably. The rest of them, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 already. So he's missing 5. Now, I'm sure the author said that for a reason. So that's a puzzle. Why would Jesus recognize 7 gods? Why would he not have the others? It's a puzzle. And we can't answer that until we know all 12 ourselves. So we'll carry that question with us. Also, a hierarchical manner. We presumed that the order in which they were given was the hierarchy. Well, let's make sure. The last ones you can probably recall with a bit of reflection, but I'll set them forward. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hephaestus. Zeus, you all know, he has the lightning. Poseidon, he lives in the ocean. Aquaman. And Hephaestus, he is the blacksmith god. He's a weird one. Hephaestus. He looks like this. There he is. That's Hephaestus. Look at him. Looks like me. There he is there. the blacksmith god. Artisans. So, Zeus with the lightning, Poseidon with the trident and the fish, and Hephaestus with the blacksmith hammer. That's the first triad. As for the second, the guardians. Interesting. Okay, so we had a model here. Whoops, that was wrong. Here. We had a model of the categories. Because existence, power, and activity is the archetype for gods. But existence or ruling, power, Vivivik, activity, and agogic also have to exist to have power and activity. But then we have to have a fourth category that preserves all. So our question was, where does this preserving live? And it seems like he's putting it in here. So it's these first and then preserving. So that was a question that I had. The second are the guardians. Oh, they are Hestia, Athena, and Ares. Now, who is Hestia? Athena is the goddess of war and wisdom. She's the one that bursts forth all at once from the mind of Zeus. Ares is the god of war. You might know him as the guy that in the God of War video games, Kronos. Kronos fights Ares as like the last boss, I think, in one of the games, because he's the Greek god of war. But who is Hestia? Hestia is less familiar, so let's find out who she is. The hearth, the home, or the fire. The hearth or fireplace of the house. So here she is. Hestia, the goddess of the fireplace of the home. Look at her there. See? Athena. Let's get pictures of Athena and Ares. Here we have Athena. See? Goddess of wisdom and battle. Wisdom and warfare. That's her there. That's Athena. Look at her go. See? Comfy. Oh! Goddess of the fireplace, internal warmth. Yes, Hestia. Hestia, look at her. There's Hestia there. Look at her. Athena. They're there. Someone who is wise but can also Fight. Tank for wisdom. Take on the forces of ignorance. Look at her. There she is. And Ares is another warrior god. So interesting. The guardian gods are warriors. Well, Athena and Ares are. Here's Ares. Hey, that's exactly what I look like when I wear my cape. Maybe. So Ares is the god of war. Alright, let's make sure. God of war, yes. Fights Kronos. So, Zeus, Poseidon. Well, let's get Poseidon. What does he look like? Let's get all of them. Why not? Get Zeus in there too. As if we don't know what Zeus looks like.
I'm too pure.
Here is Poseidon. Look at him go with his eyes. Look at that. There he is. That's Poseidon. And we have Zeus. There he is. There's Zeus there. They're also buff. I shouldn't have worn my baggy shirt. So, notice that the ruling gods are all males. What does that mean? I don't know, but it's a puzzle. He's pretty badass, isn't he? Poseidon is pretty badass in a different way. Look at that. I want a better one for Athena. Someone who's... Look, I think that's pretty good, actually, that one there. Someone who's wise, but also strong. Nah. I think maybe this one's the best. This one is the most accurate. So in the protective gods, we have two warriors, Athena and Ares, and the goddess Hestia, Athena, and Ares. For the third triad, there is Demeter, Hera, and Artemis. All three of these are lesser known, so let's look up these as well. But they're all ladies. Interesting. The inspiring, or the beautiful, or the power, or the vivic gods are all ladies. What does that mean? We're collecting puzzles as we go. Let's look for Demeter and Hera and Artemis. Oh, by the way, there was an I don't know if you can find it online. There was a computer program made in the maybe early 90s, posted online, that guided you through some questions that would help in your philosophical midwifery if you were doing self-philosophical midwifery, and it was called To Artemis. So maybe you can find that if you know how to look through the old archives of the internet. So Demeter is number one. The goddess of harvest, agriculture, and fertility. She is the fertility goddess. She gives rise to spring and new life. There's Demeter. There she is, as an anime character. It's a nice one here, look at that. There she is. Demeter. So she's the ruler of the Vivivik. You have Hera, who is the sister and wife of Zeus. You can't be both, can you? Surely not. Zeus's final wife and his sister Hera. What's going on? Who paid to give me that grain? There she is. Demeter of the grain. There you go. There she is there as well. Hera was the wife and sister of Zeus. That's pretty weird. But there you go. It's a metaphor, of course. They're not actually doing that. Demeter is also meant to be one of the main characters in the Athenian psychedelic cult, the Eleusinian mysteries. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, what? Say more. What do you know about that? How is Demeter related? If I was to guess, I would say that their psychedelic, kind of like LSD derivative, is ergot from grain. So there she is with their grain. Will there be lots of grain in the afterlife? So Hera looks like this. She is the sister and wife of Zeus. There's a good one of Hera. Look at that one. There she is. There's Hera on her throne. And there's what looks like the face of Thanos in the background for some reason. Demeter, Persephone, Dionysus is the triad. Interesting. Dying and coming back. Yes, the yearly cycle of life. Interesting. Right, and that plays into their Eleusinian mysteries because they had to go through like 6 to 12 months of study of this, what we're studying here, in preparation for that psychedelic experience. So you can understand it, navigate yourself through it, but also to address your false beliefs so you don't project your pathologos, false beliefs, and have a bad trip. So in our modern culture, we have acid and mushrooms, we just don't have the training and the preparation and the aftercare. Because in the afterglow, that's the best space to have someone like Hera or Athena or Demeter to talk to about what you've experienced, put your understanding you've been learning on it to protect it. So the guardians, Hestia, Athena, and Ares, you could say would be the reflection on your experience afterwards to protect or maintain your insights. There's Hera. There she is there. That looks more like her. Same faces in the background. What are those faces about? Those faces over there before as well. Look at how powerful she is. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. National... Well, not cults, but how... cults has negative implications. How about rituals, activities? I mean, we do have concerts where people take, like fish concerts where people take psychedelics. Only again, missing the prep and the aftercare. So there's Hera. So the third, the inspiring, Demeter, Hera, and Artemis. So there's Demeter with the grain. There's Hera on the throne. And Artemis is the goddess of the hunt. She has the bow, I think. She's the twin sister of Apollo. There she is. She's got the bow. She hits the mark with her arrows. That's fun, a nice one of her. That's pretty nice. There's Artemis there. She hits the mark. Huntress. There she is. Herb-covered arrows. So, Artemis with the bow, Hera on the throne, and Demeter with the grain. Helps women in childbirth and with her herbs. Interesting. Interesting. So we can, wonder how we can relate these characteristics to metaphysics that we've been nailing down. And in the last triad, there's Hermes, Aphrodite, we know her, and Apollo, the twin brother of Artemis. So who is Hermes? I think he's the crab of Futurama. He's the messenger one. He's with the Nikes, the winged shoes, the herald for Zeus. Ooh. A lot of these are naked, so good thing I looked before I... There he is. Hermes and Aphrodite. There's a good one of Aphrodite. Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty or love. A lot of naked ones there. Good thing I'm not on my screen. That's a good one. There we go. And Apollo. Apollo is the prophetic deity of the Delphic oracle, the one who had the inscription, "Know thyself," above it. So the god of philosophy. This is me. My guitar is... He has an instrument too. This is the one I relate to. I carry my guitar around with me on my back. Usually. Alright, so the final triad, the anagogic of up or upward moving, has Hermes. There he is with his winged feet. There he is there, giving you a sly smile. There he is there, doing his thing. When Socrates was in jail, he wrote a hymn to Apollo. He's also a sun god. Did he really? Chithara guitars. What are those guitars? Hymn to Apollo. Do you have the hymn to Apollo? There's Aphrodite. That's the posture that she's more known for. There she is there. Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty or love. Here's Apollo. That's pretty badass. There he is with his instrument. That's me. There I am. And there's another one. So, those are our figures. Jesus says, "You are a wonder, Socrates, and pleased I am to see these gods arranged hierarchically," says Jesus. "I do have an interest, as you do, in this last triad. It is a beautiful way to describe the soul's journey. I see now how you use these gods to present the way of philosophy." Something people mention about his death. He wrote fables like Aesop and a hymn to Apollo. Right, yes. So he talked about dreams. He said, "My whole life I listen to my dreams." And of course, in this whole book, Socrates has been talking about the significance and necessity for dream analysis, the application of this dialectic to dream analysis. "I thought," says Socrates, "my dreams were saying you should write music as a way of spurring me on and encouraging me, because philosophy is the highest kind of music. But now I'm wondering if it was saying actually make literal music. Because, as we are doing here, personifying these principles and the meaning of life that we are discovering in song and in stories is a way of communicating it to the many." So Socrates said in his last day, maybe he actually meant make songs. "I'm not very good at making like poetry, but I can use Aesop's fables and add the logos in, kind of like we did earlier today. We used Keegan Teagan's thumbs up, Keegan Teagan's Instagram, and we just added the logos in because he has what, something like 200,000 likes on his thing. So I mean, we don't have 200,000 followers here, but we can add the logos in. But again, and that's been the theme of the book. One thing that's the same between Socrates and Jesus is they both didn't write anything down. And as a result, well, we killed Socrates before he wrote his mythology. So it's our bad. And of course, after Socrates, we killed him. So his student Plato, who did write things down, he started the first universities in the West in the academy. didn't have midwifery and didn't have dream analysis. So we lost the dialectic used to solve problems. And then who was Plato's student? Aristotle. What did he have? A big-ass problem with metaphysics. What happens if you kill people like Socrates in front of his students like Plato for disagreeing with the official gods? You lose the ability to, because dream analysis and midwifery was in Homer. So Plato didn't like that, so he dropped it. So he had Aristotle as his student, had a problem, as we all do, because what's the human problems? A fear of understanding, a fear of mind or being, and a fear of the self. So Aristotle had these in force. Plato didn't have midwifery and dream analysis to address them. And what do moderns think about philosophy? Aristotle's opinions. So we lose metaphysics and theology. So the reason why we're doing it here is because we lost it, because we murdered the guy. We have Aristotle, who was stuck here in the physical world, or materialism. So we are now awakening theology and metaphysics, and we can only do that because we're also going through midwifery and dream analysis. If you don't, you will have the urge to inflict or interject your beliefs and opinions onto this, or, meaning you can't actually read what's there, or you'll fear this whole thing altogether. And by the way, that's the chorus. As we've been reading the book, the voice of the chorus saying, "You can't understand dreams. There is no truth. There is no realm of being. There are no universal principles. There's just the physical world. Just learn to torture nature through experiments so she reveals her secrets so you can use that to manipulate people to earn the money. And truth is just whatever beliefs are popular, like democracy." That's the chorus, representing the voice of the Pathologos. So, the next Socrates that emerges, we better not freaking kill the guy. But also, we can understand why people like Keegan are trying their best to make sense of the problems in the physical world, only using empirical science or materialism. That's the legacy of Aristotle. By the way, Plato was able to talk about this realm, but Socrates was able to go all the way. So we got Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. We can only now read Plato with the Balboa translation of Plato. So up until now, everything that has been a study of Plato has been Aristotle horse crap, because the translators themselves had problems. And only because of this book that we have here from Pierre Grimes are we able to recognize that we have to go beyond Plato to Socrates. And true philosophy, knowing the self, is Socratic, not Platonic. And our modern understanding of Plato isn't even Platonic, it's Aristotelian. That's where we are. So, we can have names. The ruling triad, the source of it all. What color for the gods? I guess dirty yellow, like that. But let's make it a bigger thing. Okay. The source of all that exists, guided by divine wisdom through which you can take care of all, the ultimate goal, the source of all. Therefore, if it's the source of all, then right at the bottom of this, the activity, Apollo, focus on the source of all. So while we are doing the activity of philosophy by reading, we're also keeping an eye on the source of all. What's another way of saying that? As we go, we keep our eye on a state of being that we can call Zeus, Zeus. But, hang on. What's going on here? There we go. Zeus. Okay, the cause of Usia's power that rules over all motion and generation. Poseidon. Like the moving... How do you spell it? Like the moving oceans. E-I. E-I-D-O-N. The power of Usia that proceeds into an activity that inspires all generation in the physical realm and inspires the soul to know ourselves. Know the self. Hephaestus. So lightning, ocean, and blacksmith. To represent the ruling triad. Now, the guardian gods. Who represents the pure Usia? Hestia, the warm goddess of the heath, the fireplace. Hestia. She's always in the home, always keeping you warm, always keeping the holes together. What preserves intelligence and energy for all nature? Athena. Tanking for wisdom. Athena. What is the Usia that illuminates all physical bodies with power and strength, giving us an eternal Usia that allows us to convert ourselves to our highest nature if we are open to it, as we are doing here? Aries. Fighting the good fight of philosophy, my friends. That's us here. Aries. Allowing us to make ourselves better to participate in the beautiful goddess Athena. Now the Vivific, the ladies. What is the highest functioning through the power of Usia that reverts upon itself but also enlivens all existence? What gives rise to life and growth? You guessed it, Demeter. 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 What is the conditions and the causes for us to have the capacity to turn about and know ourselves in divine Usia, and has the capacity or conditions for us to enliven all other beings? Hera, the wife of Zeus, giving us the conditions to be Zeus-like, ourselves as a ruler and extending our care. Hera. And what is the vivific or power or inspiring principle that we can use to determine? Use our arrows to hit the mark and say whether it was a good birth. Have we given birth to a good idea? Or has it a pathologos, false image of the self in reality? In all living beings, not just humans. Maybe there's a purpose beyond helping humans for us as beings or as a species, anywhere. What's the principles allowing us to do that dialectic, giving us the power to do the activity? Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. Hunt for those births and judge whether it was a good hunt or a bad one. Artemis. The anagogic triad, the one that Jesus wants to look at, because it's the one that we use to race our way to the gods. How do we race our little asses up to the gods? How do we race our way to Zeus, the god that races the most quickly to Zeus? Therefore, if you want to reach that state of being where you've done your job, perfected your development, your journey, you've reached your conclusion, you've done your quest, you do the dialectic. What god represents the dialectic? Hermes, the guy with the winged shoes. Hermes. That reminds me of my dream I had last night. That's going to help in my reflection of my dream. Hermes. Hermes. Interesting. Hermes. Okay. Number 11. The power of love. Like on Back to the Future. It's the power of love. How do you go back to the future? What inspires Marty to go on his quest? The power of love. What's the power of love that allows us to recognize beauty and harmony in things, that can inspire us to ousia, awaken our ousia, and reflect on the cause of that beauty that you see in that beautiful person, that beautiful soul, that beautiful music? That can make you stand in awe and wonder, why is she so amazing? Why can she do that so beautifully? Why is she so goddamn attractive? Why is that music so amazingly inspiring and beautiful? The goddess that represents that is Aphrodite. Aphrodite. The one that goes like this. In those pictures. And finally, number 12, where do we start? What's the activity of philosophy? Inscribed above the hiya, welcome Crash. Inscribed above the oracle at Delphi. What are we doing here when we read these books? What are we doing literally on the board? The activity of focusing on the source of all, that we can now call Zeus. That way of being with divine intelligence, allowing us to function providentially, divine care, as a way of being, divine wisdom, divine care. That's us. Focus on that. But also gaining an understanding, because it's an activity that allows us to realize that we are focusing towards not just an intellectual exercise, a mode of being, and also allowing us to judge when we've completed our task, we've completed our quest, completed our philosophical journey. What's that god? Apollo. Hooray. He's the god with the guitar on his back. Or harp. Also fires arrows, also hits the mark too. So Apollo. This metaphysical understanding we're going through right now. To know the self. To understand and be Zeus, inspired by a reflection on the source of goodness and beauty, Aphrodite, allowing us to master the dialectic and race like Hermes all the way to Zeus. following the principles of Artemis. So as a warrior goddess, we can shoot the arrow and hit the mark in our dialectic and judge whether or not it's a pathologos blocking us or a true insight leading us up in that journey, following Hermes in the dialectic, allowing ourselves to experience pure knowledge. That's Hera, the wife of Zeus, giving us a nice big hug as we experience pure Usia, which also overflows, helping anyone else. Having that way of being of Hera while shooting the mark is an inspiring power that enlivens and brings life to everything. That's Demeter. Nourishes you and all else. By the way, we better have some fierce warriors protecting us. You don't want to have an insight and let it go. Give birth to a pathologos and then reject midwifery. Go back to what's comfortable. Go back to your old way of being. Go back to your religion or your MAGA or your family clan bullshit. We need some warriors protecting our insights and protecting our capacity to race like follow Hermes, race like Hermes to Zeus. That power that maintains our power and strength, gives us the capacity, maintaining that capacity. That's Aries. The Usia that illuminates our physical bodies with the power and strength, allowing us to convert ourselves. That's Aries. By the way, that's our physical bodies. What about our intelligence? What preserves intelligence and the principles of intelligence that we can climb through as we go through the dialectic of Hermes, Athena? So Aries, the god of war, protecting our physical bodies and power. Athena protecting intelligence, allowing us to reach the source of all holes, Hestia, the goddess of the fireplace. So we've got these two warriors at the door of our house, and inside we have this warm fireplace. Hestia embraces us in a warm hug, and we go through the chimney. We go through the chimney to Hephaestus. At the top of the chimney, we have Hephaestus there with his blacksmith hammer and anvil, using the heat of that chimney to inspire all physical creation from being, and also inspiring our soul's journey. Like he's giving us, come on, you can do it. Look at me, the big strong blacksmith. I'm creating the conditions for you to follow, and I think you can do it. And we say, yes, we believe in you. We can build ourselves into a better being, a better soul. Because of you, Hephaestus, the greatest blacksmith, we can craft our souls. And we can use our life energy, the motion of mind to know itself and the motion of our life energy. We can make use of our life, not to be Instagram famous, or to manipulate people to get the profits, or manipulate the stocks, or get famous. None of that shit. We're using Poseidon. We're using the cause of Usia's power to know ourselves and our generation power. We're making use of Poseidon, our force and energy, and Usia. Hey, good luck. Good luck, Golden. To craft, I hope you do well. To craft ourselves like Hephaestus, the blacksmith, Poseidon, use the currents of the ocean of Usia to reach all the way, following the dialectic of Hermes to Zeus. To ourselves become the source of all that exists. That's our state of being now. We can use the divine wisdom and use that divine wisdom to guide ourselves and take care of all living and non-living beings. And because we've gone through this whole process with these gods, bound to metaphysical understanding, we've gone through the whole thing, reaching Zeus from Apollo. In other words, we carry every single god together. We have a big cart big chariot with 12 spots, and Apollo jumps on first, and then Aphrodite, then Hermes, then Artemis, then Hera, then Demeter, then Ares, then Athena, then Hestia, then Hephaestus, then Poseidon and Zeus. And because we're carrying everything as we go through that principle of hyparxis that binds the two together into its fullest flowering, that then becomes the next stage, which then becomes the next stage, and then becomes the next stage, we can use our understanding of this process. That's why we read. It's not sitting and chanting and meditating. It's not sitting in an ashram for 50 years, sweeping up at the Zendo for 50 years, and hoping and praying, not sending hopes and prayers. No, it's understanding the whole way, so that when we reach Zeus, we reach the source of all Zeus, we can recognize our mode of being and understand that we've completed our journey. Understanding all the way through, baby. That's Apollo. That's the 12 gods. That's theology. And metaphysics. And Jesus says, "You are a wonder, Socrates. And pleased I am to see these gods arranged hierarchically. I do have an interest, as you do, in this last triad, anagogic. It is a beautiful way to describe the soul's journey. I see now how you use these gods to present the way of philosophy." Yay. The way of philosophy. The way of philosophy. That's philosophy. So we can talk about what's needed in philosophy. We can remember it with that little story that we went through. Make your own story. That's the significance of mythology. You got a little story. So when you have a coffee with your friends and they say, "What's this philosophy stuff you've been getting into?" Oh, well, you can tell them the story, or you can just talk about, well, actually, see what you got to do is, and then you think of Apollo. Develop an understanding by reading the texts and harmonize your right opinions from the text to develop an understanding of Zeus. Understand it's also a way of being, and understand what's involved to get there so you can recognize your purpose. Apollo. But you have to be inspired. Gotta have a reason to get into it. Talk about Aphrodite. If you are inspired and you do it, Aphrodite and Apollo, what will you end up doing? Mastering the greatest art that's the purpose for all living beings who want to do their job here, the dialectic. Talk to your friend about the dialectic. Hermes. Now, you can go through all of them if it's if you want to, or you can meet your friend where they're at and realize, you know what, they're not inspired. I'm going to talk about Aphrodite. Or you know what, they don't think they can make themselves better. I'm going to talk about Hestia, the blacksmith. My friend doesn't think that there is a difference between right and wrong, or good births and noble births. I'm going to talk about Artemis, who can judge. My friend doesn't think that there is such an experience as pure knowledge. I'm going to talk about Hera. And then I'm going to talk about how, hey, that experience, along with the dialectic, can revert you upon yourself in a way that can elevate your existence. Turn your physical power into psychic power. That's Demeter. The Vivific. Love, beauty, power. Hey, maybe the person you're having coffee with is a lover or potential lover. You can talk about making use of your sexual chemistry let's go with that. Making use of that physical energy to give birth to pure ousia, or convert that physical energy into psychic energy that can elevate your existence, Demeter. Having coffee? Hey, baby, let's do some Demeter. Baby. Probably don't want to say it like that, but... So you can do this for all of those 12 gods. It's a mnemonic device that you can use to for your own development, and also to judge Artemis, to help your friends understand Apollo, to guide them through Hermes. See? It's all the principles that we're using. In other words, what are we doing? We are using these gods to present the way of philosophy to our friends over coffee. Cheers.
Wow.
Put that in pink. Socrates. Yes, they are the intellectual forces that move reason into energy. Talking about Demeter, or converting into higher energy. So again, reason into energy. We're not just reasoning, we are converting it into energy. With this, it joins with the perfection of the soul and body. In the soul's quest, this makes possible a true birth of what has been long seeking. We've been seeking this whole time. How many incarnations have you had? How many lifetimes have you gone through? How many times have you given up? How many times have you been a slave to the pathologos? How many times have you fallen? What must you have done leading up to this life to be in this stream watching this video right now? To gain what you've been seeking this whole time. Lucky for you if you are here. As the progression of the soul advances, it participates in more intellectual ways and is inspired to ideas that are poetic and profound. Nature needs the proper generation of the soul and body. For without that, nothing would be possible. So as we advance, we participate in intellectual ways, and we are inspired to ideas. That are poetic or beautiful, Aphrodite, and profound. Apollo. Jesus, it seems that these gods have a structure that can be represented by its threeness. Do you have a picture in your mind that does represent them all together? Ooh. Now you caught me again. Right you are. I do have an image I can share. Picture a triangle whose apex represents Zeus, and at the right and left lower angles are Poseidon and Hephaestus. Now picture a larger triangle that surrounds and guards that triangle. The apex of the larger triangle is being. The lower right angle of the larger triangle is for power, and the lower left angle represents activity. Okay? we say phooey to that. we're swapping left and right because I think it feels better to me. It's what we've been doing up until now. So he says, do this. Triangle that has Zeus. Whoops, not that color. Yellow. Zeus. Poseidon. Ei. Yes. And Hephaestus. Now that's a name. Hephaestus. There's our triangle. And have a larger triangle around that. Sorry, Hephaestus, your name was too big. That represents being. So Zeus is the highest way of being and the source of all, which makes sense because Apollo has to recognize that as our quest, our end goal. And then power. The power of Usia in motion and generation is Poseidon. The waves of the ocean. And activity. There's our blacksmith doing the activity of building the soul. Activity. Oh, so when Jesus said the last triad, I guess he wanted to know the higher triad. Jesus. There is so much here that I am amazed. Yeah, no joke. So are the currently 2 people watching on stream. How many viewers does Hassan Nazman Gold get? We'll get there one day. Yes, it is amazing. What I would like to understand is how you picture this idea of personification. What lies behind the idea of personification, Socrates? I am pleased you have chosen the way of going on. The willingness to live most fully and completely one's vision of truth is to take on the personification of the ideal. Wow. So we also will be a personification of the ideal by fully and completely living the one's vision of truth, being all of these gods or Zeus. The test for that vision is to be willing to be what that vision embodies. For acting out that vision is the most difficult of circumstances is the fire sacrifice. For verifying the truth of that vision, the test forces those who are against that vision to reveal themselves. So we've been talking about, right? The theme of one of the main themes of this book is human beings respond to truth in a variety of ways. What are the fascists and Zionists and genocidal fucktards doing? They are passing rules and laws and functioning in terrible ways that reveal themselves to have problems. So as we introduce this as a way of being, we also surface people who are objecting to truth and understanding, which is a situation we have to deal with as human beings if we are going to save our species and solve problems. That's a bit of a side. I only say that now because we've been talking about that a lot. Solving problems isn't just presenting truth, it's finding the cause of the issue in the first place. In other words, we still have a Nazi problem. I thought we won against the Nazis. Nope. They surrendered. We failed to address the cause of Nazism itself, therefore we currently have a Nazi problem. We don't kill the Nazis like they try and kill everyone who's not a Nazi. That's their bullshit. But we recognize they are revealing themselves. They have an ignorance that has a cause that we better address. Otherwise, we'll continue to have Nazi problems. Anyway, that's a tangent. That's a bit of a editorialization by me. So you can ignore that. But the test forces those that are against that vision to reveal themselves. Those who act this drama out or portray it for others to see, force all to see what otherwise would remain in the shadows. That's the significance of MAGA and the Zionistic genocide and capitalism. It's forcing the sadistic fucks who defend that shit out of the shadows so we can face it, so we don't have another Nazi problem. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. Let's keep reading. By taking this path, much falls, but it reveals the field, it leaves the field open for a higher vision to unfold. And everything we've just said about society applies to ourselves. As we seek our highest goals, the forces of our pathologos ignorance reveal themselves. Otherwise, if you did nothing with your life, if you didn't try and master this, if you didn't try and personify the vision as the gods personify these visions and these ideals, you wouldn't surface what's been in the shadows. As above, so below. Among those who understand these personifications, there are some who grasp the meaning more than others. The way Homer or Hesiod refers to the gods must have made perfect sense to listeners. Some would immediately recognize who speaks best and worst when talking about these gods. The significance of understanding. Who's that? Artemis, judging true and false. Currently there are tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of different preachers claiming to speak for Jesus or Muhammad or Abraham or Moses. No one's fucking judging any of this shit. It's whatever you grew up with, whoever was the preacher on your block. Whereas an understanding and not stupid belief that causes problems, understanding allows you to judge. Artemis. Who speaks poorly? Does Trump really speak for Jesus? Does Paul really speak for Jesus? Does Mark, who is the denier of Paul, and Paul the denier of Jesus? Does the Thomas the Twin engine, Jesus' twin, Thomas, in the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas? Does Jimmy James, the Gnostic Gospel of James? Does John, who starts the first sentence well, but then devolves into his pathologos, does he speak for Jesus? Whereas these people who are developing an understanding, metaphysics, true theology, can judge who speaks well and who doesn't. The way Homer, some would immediately recognize who speaks the best and worst. When talking about these gods, the ability to grasp the meaning of these personifications of the gods brings with it an intuitive understanding of how to work with metaphors. One of the themes we've been playing with is metaphor or analogy. Believers are a slave to bullshit analogy. People with a pathologos carry a false analogy. Analogy is the cause of our projections when we are in belief as a zombie or slave. But understanding, or the ability to grasp the meaning of the personifications, awakens an intuitive understanding of how to work with metaphors. Are you a slave to bullshit and metaphors or analogies from your past, causing injustice and conflict internally and externally? Or do you become a master of analogies? Do you use analogies to share an understanding of principles and causes? If you're in that second category, you're a winner. And we love you over here. If you're in that first category, you got some work to do, pal. When these personifications take on a physical form, they become the objects of sculpture, and the poetic expression of them is in the oracles and philosophy. By understanding the way these images of the gods can be related together in drama, we have a natural way of developing analogical thinking. The way these gods relate, the stories we tell about how Zeus relates to Poseidon and then goes to Hephaestus's house and they have a party, have a few beers, and then Hermes runs over, and then Apollo is there as well, and then Aphrodite comes and she's in a bikini, all of that stuff. And then Apollo slaps Hermes and then gives a kiss on the cheek to Apollo, is a way of relating in drama, analogical thinking. The task of understanding dreams. Here we go. This is the big quest. We have reawakened philosophical midwifery, and there is a book on it. The next stage for us is to formalize dream analysis. There is no current book. That's our job. As this book has been saying, dream analysis is necessary. There's currently no book on it. That's our task. So, big deal. So, highlight this. The task of understanding dreams.
Little girl. I'm cute. Like, it's cutie pie. Too stupid to understand. Talking about a bunch of slop.
The task of understanding dreams is nothing else than applying that way of reasoning to the world of dreams. Okay, that's what we need to nail down. What? How images that are personifications of principles interrelate in drama as an analogical way of expressing those principles. That's how you understand dreams. For a dream takes an analogical form that contains an anagogic function. Now, Isidori, this is a new quote for your Etsy store, or Golden's Etsy store, whoever's making merch. Dreams take an analogical form that contain an anagogic function. There you go. What does anagogic function do? What does it do? It raises souls of man to the divine. So that's going to be the throw pillow. Dreams take an analogical form, it's an analogy, that contain an anagogic function, upward moving through analogy, that raise souls of man to the divine. Thus, the necessity for dream analysis in our work to become Zeus. Jesus, I admire the way you are going. To show that dreams can be understood is a new dawn of reason. Hooray! That's it. That's the name. What are we doing here? We've got a new name for our channel. And title for this video. The new dawn of reason. By showing dreams can be understood. That's the new dawn. The new way of being. The significance of what we've been doing here for a couple of years. To be able to show dreams are personally meaningful. Highlight that. And to those to whom they come is very profound. Oh, really? Who can say man cannot ascend to the intelligible if dreams disclose their secrets? Okay, so in this game of ascending from, raise the souls of man to the divine, to become Zeus ourselves and complete our philosophical journey, there will be haters drinking all of their haterade and vomiting their hate spew all over the place. And we can say, hey, listen, who can say that man cannot ascend to the intelligible if dreams disclose their secrets? What's stopping you? You don't have to be a Buddhist. You don't have to shave your head. You don't have to wear orange robes and chant Hare Krishna in the street. You don't have to give up all your worldly possessions. You don't have to do any of that shit and hope and pray you get awakened or whatever. Or maybe wait till you die and then someone will post a Facebook video of Jesus welcoming you into your arms as you go to heaven, maybe when you die. No, you don't need any of that. It's not a mystery. Well, it is a mystery, but it's not esoteric. It's not a hidden tradition anymore. That's the dawn of reason. No longer hidden. Because dreams disclose it. Mind works with you. This isn't for a select few, prophets or saints. Bullshit. It's for everyone. You're all wizards, Harrys.
You're a wizard, Harry.
You're all on this quest.
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure,
says Gandalf. Who can be a haterade? Who can drink the haterade if dreams disclose the secrets of man's ascent to the divine? Says Jesus. Yes, dreams are the bridge to a most sacred way of understanding. Another bumper sticker. When people seek meaning in dreams, their way of being is enhanced. There's another one. They awaken a common spirit that brings into being a culture of the mind. We can all do this. Everyone has dreams. We're all in this together. So a common spirit is awakened in this new dawn of reason. It brings into being a new way of being, culture of the mind. What's the appeal of Trumpism? A way of being. It's against everyone's material interests and soul's interests. It's only harm. But you get to talk about yourself. You get to talk about your fears that you've never been able to talk about because you've been too ignorant. No one wants to hear your ignorant bullshit. You can express your sadism or belief surrogate for knowing, inflicting harm. Why? It's a way of being. What do we need to unify our soul and unify our species? A way of being that is good. A culture of the mind. Not anti-mind, racism, fascism, sexism, MAGAism, Zionism, all that bullshit. That's all anti-mind. A common way of being in a common spirit, a culture of the mind. That's the game. That's our purpose. That's our job. That's the new dawn of man, the new dawn of reason. Tell everyone. It's just that simple. Says the book, not me. Says the book. Jesus. You see, the Hellenes are part of that curious breed of dream cultures. Let me have a quick look. When is the haters going to come in, by the way? My neck's getting a bit sore. I need to take a break. I think we're good. Okay. I think that's a fantastic way of ending it. The Hellenes are part of that curious breed of dream cultures, and with this cultural awareness, they would have had a keen insight into metaphors and similes. Analogy. I found that very same thing among people I encountered. The culture I was relating to could accept the role of parables, again, an analogy, as a way of awakening the mind. There is much common between dream cultures and cultures that respond to parables, yet there is that difference. Socrates goes on to say, indeed, it is because of this background culture that we can say Prometheus personifies a remarkable foresight that goes beyond mere thinking. His far-seeing knows the future, and it knows the present. On a personal level, this kind of knowing even knows that it will only do what is providentially the best. On the general level, it is the awareness that a profound structure of justice is in place, because that is what it means to say our cosmos is providentially intelligible. There we go. There is a providential intelligibility of reality, of our cosmos, that's always functioning in a way that's for our best. Our way of awakening to that is through dream analysis. Doing so, because we all have dreams, can awaken a common spirit and will bring forth a new way of being that can unite not only our soul but our species in a culture of mind. That's the New Age. The New Age is awakening dream analysis. There's no book on this. It's the dialectic. We're learning it. So our goal, for anybody watching this channel, make your handbook of dream analysis. Share it with your friends, share it with Discord, work on it together. That's our job. Awakening the New Age. Hey, and by the way, you're opening that doorway of communication to your own providential guidance. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
Awakening the new dawn of reason, the new way of being, the new common spirit, the New Age. The culture of mind through understanding analogy, through understanding dreams. Therefore, no one is blocked from the spiritual quest, or the philosophical quest, or the meaning of life, because, hey, we all have dreams. So, you can't own dreams. You can't have a corporation say, oh, I have all the dreams. You don't have to pay a subscription to dreams. It's open to everyone. Understanding dreams through analogy and the dialectic is the dawn of the New Age of reason, the way of being and common spirit, culture of the mind. Wow. Did I mention this book is a banger? Good luck in recording your dreams. Here's a little note. Put a recording app on your phone. As soon as you wake up, press record, start talking. The more you do that, the more you'll remember. Transcribe it. Have a look at and there's lots of apps you can use. TurboScribe is a good one. Read it. Give your first impression. It's going to be wrong. And then go through the process of unpacking the analogy and applying the dialectic as best you can. There is no handbook yet, so have fun, make mistakes, learn. Oh, by the way, your dreams will help you in your review of what you've missed, help you in your progression, because it's the most meaningful thing we can do. And when you get the meaning, or what you won't know yet, it's a hypothesis. You'll have to play it out in your everyday life. But hey, reflect on the difference between the analogical meaning you've unpacked and your first reading, and that might even be a clue. The very problem the dream is pointing to might be expressed in the difference between your first impression and your reading. Have fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Follow on Twitch. On YouTube, there's a link to the text below. You can join the Discord, and if you want to buy me a coffee, it's my birthday today. So give me lots of money. No, you don't have to do that. But if you want to, there's a link below. And thank you for joining me. How fun, how exciting. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.